Stephen, man, how you doing today? I appreciate you making time.
I'm okay. Thanks.
Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. So definitely appreciate you making time. I wanted to start, fellow Muslims, so Ramadan Mubarak. We're about to hit Eid, and I saw appreciate it. And I saw you on Twitter. You're talking about going through Ramadan and doing your training. There's so much talk about that. I don't know if you saw at the NBA recently. We saw with Kyrie Irving. They were talking about how he might be having issues keeping up his stamina and all that. But people forget on the other side, you had Jalen Brown, who's also Muslim, who really had one of his best series ever, even though going through Ramadan. So, as an athlete that you are, how is your approach to Ramadan, and how do you get through training and everything, and still keep up that high level of competition that you do?
I feel like I take my time during training. I take my time as well as pushing myself to the limit and knowing what times to do those things. I had switched up my time schedule. I know, I normally go to the gym around 12 in the afternoon. If I made it towards 5, if I still get my sparring in, then it won't be that much of a gap between, breaking fast and training. So that's the first thing I've done. Secondly, I feel like it's a mind thing. It can either make you or break you. And I feel like we're obligated to do this. Like we have to do this. This is not an option. Boxing is an option. This is something that we have to do. This is a must do.
Right.
So that always comes first. So I pick that first, and I always get good results out of it, and the results show. But I,
Absolutely.
I definitely feel like I'll be stronger and better during this month. Like a lot stronger and a lot better.
Got it. So what would you say is your biggest challenge? Because some people, I'll give myself as an example. So like you said, the mental part is not the big issue as far as the hunger and all that. But one thing I always have to make sure I stay on is making sure I do my Quran reading and all that. That's something that sometimes I slack on a little bit. Is there any area where you found the biggest challenge going through the month? And sometimes it's not even you. Sometimes it's the people around you that they have to adjust as well. So where would you say is your biggest challenge over the course of the Ramadan month?
I feel like the people around me that needs to just understand what I'm doing, what I'm going through. Because as well as me fasting, we already can't eat. People already gets irritated when they can't eat. You feel me?
Yeah.
So I feel like it's the not being able to eat. It's the training, getting ready for a fight while losing weight, and I still have to maintain my health with my children, my two boys. So like I'm sacrificing a lot right now, which is I can do it, but people don't understand just because you can do it doesn't mean you should be able to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I'm like the people around me more so. It's harder on them than it is on me.
Got it. Got it. So now here's the biggest thing. So now we're coming up on Eid, and Eid is the big celebration. Everyone likes to eat. You got feasts. Being that you're in training, I'm assuming you kind of have to stay away from that, or at least kind of make sure you don't go overboard like most of our community is going to be doing.
Nah, I'm gonna eat.
I hear you. I hear you.
Bro, I'm gonna eat, bro. I know how to make the weight. I know how to drop it. I'm already down the weight because of Ramadan and training. So the weight won't be the issue for me.
Got it.
I'm definitely gonna eat good though. For the Eid.
All
When
right.
I get back to regularly training and drop the weight again. So I
Appreciate
gotta get that good taste of food in my system.
Yes, sir. You've earned it. You've earned it. So, switching gears, a lot of people, when they look at your upcoming match, especially with Daniel Roman, people got to realize you've had four undefeated fighters in a row. One that you stopped, and I think what's impressed me the most is that you've beaten them in different ways. And when you knocked out Avalar, you were fighting off the back foot and stopped him with a body shot. And then with Leo and Figueroa, you fought on the inside and were really comfortable. And I think that's surprising to a lot of people because when you see
It's
fighters that you
surprising
think
to me because I didn't even think about it till you just said it.
yeah, because a lot of people, when they, there's always narratives that people have. So I think the narrative on you is like, oh, he's a slick fighter, blah, blah, blah. So when they think slick, they think somebody that's not going to be able to handle when it gets rough. How did you make your style so well-rounded where you can handle anything? You can fight inside, you can fight outside, and the main thing is you're comfortable doing both.
I feel like it's the ability to be able to adjust to any circumstance, any situation. I feel like it's mainly that. I got just I got that, and I'm athletic, and I got a lot of heart, and I'm smart as well. So I'm a great thinker. So you put all that in one, and you basically can fight any style you want.
That's true. That's true. And here's another thing that impressed me with the Figueroa thing. You know, after the decision was made, he was upset, he was throwing shots and all that, and you remained really calm. And one thing that you said afterward, you shot him some bail. You said, you know what? If I were in that situation where I lost a close fight, I might be kind of emotional too. And you don't see that a lot. You know, when fighters normally get defensive when you're claiming the win isn't legit and all that, do you think he's having that mindset because it's a defense mechanism that he needs to kind of feel like no one can beat me if I'm at my best to continue going on?
I think it was a lot of the Mexicans in the crowd that made him feel like he won, because they just reacted to everything he threw. I feel like it was more so the fans that made him feel like that, and his family.
Got it.
Then he made a statement and said, "Look at my face. Well, my face was perfectly fine. His face was the one chewed up."
This is true.
He was body punching. I was hitting a lot of clean shots.
So now that you have some time to reflect, do you think there's still unfinished business, or do you feel like that chapter's been closed?
There's only unfinished business with him on his behalf. That chapter is closing, but it's still a little bit unfinished business on my side, because now I want to make it cleaner. I want to show you, like, the fight don't even have to be close.
Got it. So I saw that you said on Twitter before that, you know, if you've been beaten before, of course, it's called like a blueprint. But going back to that mindset thing, I also feel like if you've lost before, in some cases, it can make you accept defeat again when you're kind of in those close fights and in those close moments. If you feel kind of a replay of what happened before, when you fought all those undefeated fighters, did you notice a difference in their mindset compared to the fighters you fought before? And do you think things will be different when you fight Daniel Roman based on what you've seen of him before, even though he's lost before?
When I fought all those undefeated fighters, I knew one thing: they had never fought another undefeated fighter. They don't want to lose, so I knew they'll be thinking 10 times harder than I would be. So I already knew I had that advantage right there, because I was already fighting those type of fighters. So my mindset, my skill set was already there. But sorry about that. Mainly, I feel like when you're facing an undefeated fighter and you already has been tested, your mindset, the fights become easier and easier for you. So the pressure is more so on them. I knew the pressure would be on them. Now, fighting Daniel Roman, he don't have anything to lose, so I know he's going to be coming for it all. But at the same time, I feel like his time is up.
Got it. So here's another interesting thing I'm gonna throw at you. We know the great Philly tradition. I saw you tweet about Georgie Benton before. There's never really, to me, been a lull where we haven't had at least good Philly fighters. You even look at the last generation, we had Eddie Chambers, Danny Garcia, Zahir Rahim. But you could make an argument that now we're at a point where you and Jaron Ennis could be the next established line of great Philly fighters, not just good Philly fighters or very good fighters. Is it easier to kind of have a running mate side by side when you're trying to get to that run of greatness, or does it make it a little bit more difficult because you have a litmus test of somebody that you might indirectly have fans putting you in competition with to see who's going to be the best first, quote unquote?
Nah, it's not hard either way. It's not hard at all. I mean, fans are going to do it regardless. You know, it's up to us to remain humble and know that we're not in competition, and just keep winning and keep doing you. That's all that ever matters. But I will say, we are the next guys. Like, we are those guys. That's all I can really say. We are those guys.
That's all that needs to be said. Now, as far as MJ, you know, that's the fight that people are looking at because, of course, it's a unification. People love Undisputed, one weight class, one champion. But you said something interesting. You know, he's been focused on Mandos. I mean, I know you probably haven't had any conversations with him, but just from afar, do you feel like he wants it as much as you do to be the Undisputed champion?
Nah, I don't want that as much stuff. If he did, we would have been doing that shit like by now.
Got it. All right, my last question for you, unrelated note. So we always have new music coming out. I saw that you're a fan of Future. Here's one question, and I want you to be honest with me. So we know that Monster, Beast Mode, 56 Nights run, that's kind of like his Mount Olympus type run, and he ended it with DS2. You've got a chance to listen to the new album that's came out, I Never Liked You. Do you feel it's on the same level, or do you think it's a step below? Your honest opinion.
I feel like mature future, even though he's been mature years ago. Probably going into a different lane where people, it's hard for people to accept it. But I like the island because I feel like he's rapping like where he's from, Atlanta.
Yep.
And everybody from Atlanta is gonna like that because they understand it. People nowadays they're expecting to hear something different, like little babies and all of them. Like they're expecting to hear that out of him, and that's what I'm getting from it. They're not trying to listen to Future for who he still is and who he runs. So, but I like it. I like the ones with him and Drake. I like all of them. Honestly, I'm about to be totally honest. I listened to that General Street. I didn't skip that one song, and I listened to it since yesterday. And I'm outside early today. So it been constantly on. Yeah.
There you go. That says it all right there.
These kids out here hitting my Hellcat with basketball.
I hear you, man. Well, I appreciate you making time. I'm originally from New Jersey. I live in Atlanta now. So hopefully at some point we get to see you fight down here. But of course, focus on the next fight against Daniel Rahman. Best of luck. And hopefully I get to talk to you again soon.
I appreciate you.
Appreciate you, brother. Have a good one.